So here's an upcoming problem where people are going to hurt me and drag my name through the mud permanently some more. What did I do to deserve this? I'm doing nothing. All I did was my job. An 84-year-old needed me to clean his bathroom and count his meds and listen to his primary care passing on the information that his primary care told me to tell him. That's all I'm doing. Okay, then why would I be injured? Why would people hurt me? Why would I get the wrong medication? And why would doctors get the wrong idea when I come in then? What's happening right now? Well, let's think about it for a second. My roommate 84, who I take care of, is senile. He's gone. He even locked up his own bank because he can't say words right. He's all over the place with his words. Well, he's in the hospital right now going, oh, Zach is like a doctor. 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 And I told him, stop doing that. You can say I'm like a social worker if you want, but I'm not a doctor. I don't practice. I don't prescribe. I don't inform. I just tell you what doctor to go to. Oh, you need to go to your primary care. Oh, you need to go to the emergency room right now. And I just pass on what your doctor tells me to. I listen to your doctor, David's doctor, and then I just pass on the information. Each case is different, so I couldn't prescribe or know. I would have to ask your doctor for your information. So that I am not like a doctor at all. I'm more like a medicine man mixed with a social worker. I like my plants. Like right now, I'm making bay leaf tea. Great for upset stomach. I'm more like a OTC person. I can tell you, oh, that Tums is great. I love that Tums. Just simple stuff like that. So I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be a doctor. I've never said I'm a doctor. I've never given medical advice. I always like when Dave had his fall. Did I tell him what to do? No. I said he needs to go to the emergency room. I don't care which one. So I'm obviously not trying to be a doctor, but David doesn't know the word caregiver at the moment or social worker. He has had trouble saying the word social worker for a year now. He keeps on saying worker instead. Oh, she's my worker. Which one? They're all my workers. No, which one is a social worker? Oh, I don't know. So that's what he does. He does stuff like that. And he can't say the word social worker. He has trouble with caregiver, so he just says like a doctor. He's like a doctor. No, I'm not. That is the wrong word. So we got David saying I'm like a doctor. Is that big a deal? How would that get me hurt? Well, this is where it gets completely illegal and harmful. My mother and father also told the doctor something about me. But see, David is just telling his doctor and his nurse. That's not a big deal. It is going to get back to my doctor or whoever sees me. I guarantee you they put down a note. David is saying that Zach pretends to be a doctor or something like that. But that by itself is nothing. I go into the emergency room with epilepsy. I tell them I'm shaking. I know my mother did this, this, and this to me, and they treat me, right? Not a big deal. Nobody will hurt me. But you got to remember, my mother and father spent 15 years during my childhood, and my father is still continuing today to try to misinform my doctors so they hurt me. My mother started this because she did something she wasn't supposed to. She slipped me pills that caused an overdose, and my nervous system got destroyed. My mother saw what she did. She could see that the teachers were calling home. They were putting me in physical therapy, speech therapy, talking about a sudden change in my body. I was speaking at the doctors, really scared of this overdose because I went blind. I lost my vision. I lost the ability to speak, and I passed out with my breathing slowing down, and I woke up when my body changed for life. So I was so scared. In fact, I'm sucking on my skin trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. So I tell the doctors about it. And my mother rips me out of that doctor, rips me out of that teacher's, brings me to Texas because his husband got a job offer, but the husband does not want to take the job, but the mother's going to keep pushing it because she got to get a new life, she says. She needs a change of scenery and a new life. So she's moving me to Texas. So did my mother stop then? Did she stop with all the storytelling? No, they do it still today at the age of 32. So what happens when you have a mother and father calling you a fantasy spinner, saying you're mentally ill, saying you make up stories, saying don't believe my son, don't spend money investigating his epilepsy, don't listen to him, and then you have to keep starting over. You live in the woods in Lowell, then you live in the woods in Rochester, then you live in the woods in Haverhill, then you live in the woods in Wells, and each time you have to restart from the beginning with the doctors, but all the doctors have are the lies on paper. So when I go to a new town, seeking, and I have a seizure, what did the doctors have to work with? They have my mother and father calling me mentally ill. He's crazy. He's homicidal. He's suicidal. All the now, have I ever done anything homicidal in my life? No, not at all. So why does my mother call me homicidal to the doctors? Because I did a science experiment with a match and some slime. That's it. She made up a bunch of other details that go along with it. He's hurting animals. There was a slug near that match. Yeah, he's purposely going to hurt cats. Yeah, he's suicidal, homicidal. He's out to get me. Yeah. Shit like that. My mother would continuously do that, even though everybody could see it was the other way around. My mother and father would suck me dry. Like, for instance, they're worried about me lying and me stealing, right? Meanwhile, my father is stolen my inheritance. He's stolen Social Security that was supposed to go to clothing and rent. Yes, he actually got in trouble and they pressed charges against him because I was 19, living in a state program, and my Social Security was supposed to go to them for rent, but my father was hiding it, lying to them to pocket the money. And then I got in trouble because of him, because they said they needed the rent money. They said, oh, wow, now we know that your father was collecting Social Security in your name. He wasn't allowed to do that anymore. You're 19, almost 20, and it's ending. We were supposed to get that and show you how to reapply, but now we can't help you reapply because your father lied. So there was that whole situation. So we know my father lies. We know he manipulates. We know my mother lies. We know she manipulates. We know she changed her stories constantly. We know she was hurting me. Now let's look at it. Who looks like they're getting hurt? Is it the fat woman who's going on vacation, drinking all the time? Or is it the kid who looks like he's dying of starvation? He's getting pills forced down his throat and he's being moved around, and doctors and teachers are worried about him. Oh, let me see. Oh, it's the kid who's getting hurt by the mother. The mother's the one mentally ill. She has Munchausen syndrome. The kid is ADHD when he's born, but now he has anxiety, PTSD, and a million side effects from the mother's drugs that she's forcing into him. So what do the doctors know about all this stuff going on with me? Nothing. My mother kept it a secret for her whole life. She kept on telling the doctors, oh, he's suicidal, he's homicidal. Yes, he's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. All these illnesses I'm throwing out. And how does my mother prove these? She doesn't. She just makes up as many stories as possible and then gets the doctor to sign off on it. The only illness that was ever proven with a actual type of scan was my ADHD and my epilepsy. In Lowell, Massachusetts, they put me through a machine and they found the seizures. They said my brain very much showed that I had a seizure. So then we knew when I wake up on the ground, bloody like that, that's called a seizure. That's what's going on there. But do the doctors able to continue working with me? No. I had to move to another state to get an apartment, restart. Now they started to help me, but then my mother and father's bullshit got in the way again. So what will happen to me next? Let me see. We have an 84-year-old who doesn't know the words different from caregiver, social worker, or doctor. So he keeps on saying, Zach is like a doctor, Zach is like a doctor. No, I'm like a caregiver. That's the word he's looking for. But the doctors are going to misunderstand that, like I'm prescribing something, or I'm giving him pills, or I'm doing something I'm not supposed to, all because of that one word. Now, why would the doctors think that? Why would the doctors think from an 84-year-old saying the words, Zach is like a doctor, that it means all this other stuff? How could they possibly come to that conclusion? Well, that's my mother and father again. So they take a little information like Dave saying, Zach is like a doctor. Then they take the information from my father. Zach is mentally ill. He does stuff he's not supposed to. He's into drugs. He makes up stories. He tries to pretend. They take that made up lies. All those things are lies about me. I don't pretend. I don't lie. I don't do drugs. I'm actually a addiction specialist now, trying to get people off drugs. I've had like one relapse in 7 years for less than 6 months, and that was during surgery. And that could have been avoided too if these doctors would just get the truth from my mother and father, and they would stop. If my mother and father could stop doing illegal activity, killing me, breaking the 10 commandments, then I can live a normal life. But as long as they're making up stories at the emergency room, at the doctors, which they already did, remember, it's not like if they stop now, the ball still rolls downhill. They've already spent 25 years making up stories to the emergency rooms, making up stories to the doctors, to the point where the Lowell emergency room would say, man, your mother and father are evil. I've actually heard hospitals, teachers, many people come in the room and go, wow, your mother's crazy. I'm so sorry for you. I've heard my brother go, oh, you poor, poor kid with a mother like that. I've heard my nephew cry and go, she's scaring me. I've heard many people and doctors come into the room and go, oh, we just got off the phone with your family and they're no help. You're right. Stuff like that constantly, constantly. They're just trying to hurt me. And which way did my mother's and father's statement make my life better? Tell me. Dad, how did you make my life better? How? Tell me one thing that I got better than the rest of your family. Let me see. Your son Tim went to college. He got a car. And was he ever drugged? Did you ever drug him? No. Did you ever let Patricia make up stories at the doctor about him? Because remember, Patricia said that Tim was mentally ill too. So where is his mental illness? Where is his paperwork at the doctors? Because if Patricia is capable of claiming that I'm mentally ill and I need drugs, she said that Tim needed to be on like 5, 6 drugs too. She was coming up with all these illnesses for Tim as well, and Seth, and just anybody that she wanted to. She even called her best friend's daughter somebody who's using a fake ID that actually scans on. Now, we don't care about fake IDs in our family, but the point is that she wasn't using one this time. My mother had another one of her breakdowns. Now, do the doctors know my mother had these mental breakdowns and used to like to lie and make up stories at the doctors? Does any of my doctors today know that the stories on my medical record were created by a father paying for psychiatrists, letting his wife make up stories about a little orphan kid, blowing everything out of proportion? The little orphan kid shows her a swimming medal, and all of a sudden he's on 4 meds, he's a liar, he's a thief, and all this other stuff. This is bad enough. I've had it fucking enough. I need to go to my doctors. I've already went. There's a problem with my mother and father. They need to fix their shit so I can do my shit. Until my mother and father fix their shit, I'm in fucking limbo dying in the fucking woods. I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to go and rip their fucking testicles off, I swear to God. If these doctors don't do their jobs, and if my mother and father or my family doesn't clear out this goddamn shit, and I have to continue getting injured, I've already had hundreds of injuries from them. If Tim had one injury and went to the hospital and they mistreated him because of Patricia's stories, he would be out there beating the shit out of her. If Seth somehow had an overdose in the care of my mother and my mother refused to call an ambulance, and then for the rest of his life, Tim saw a change in that body, and then Seth came up going, she gave me some pills, and then I lost my vision, and I can't move right anymore. Tim would be over there beating the living shit out of her. But if she does this stuff to me, everybody's like, well, it's okay then. Yeah, the little orphan boy is our lightning rod. Let's just let her hurt him some more. Well, now she's dead, so we can move on and throw Zach away. We don't need him anymore. You know, Patricia's gone, so Patricia can't hurt our children anymore, so we don't need Zach anymore. Go fuck yourself. I'm not going to keep suffering. I'm 32 years old. I went to the doctor recently, and I still have problems. And the problems are nothing to do with me. I have never once told the story to a doctor, even at 16, when I took cough medicine, and I was lying to the program saying I didn't take anything. No, I didn't take anything. That's it. That's all I said. I didn't take anything. I was 16 years old. I took some cough medicine. They asked me if I smoked some weed, if I'm doing some weed. I said, no, I'm not doing anything. They brought me to the hospital. When I was at the front desk checking in and they asked me if I took anything, I said, yes, I took cough medicine. The staff members were like, why did you tell the truth to them? Because they're a hospital and doctor's office. I always try to tell the truth, no matter what happens, even at the program. It hurt me just to say no to you in the program. But you guys keep on reacting in poor ways, filling me up with drugs, and I still can't move my body right. I still have a mother on weekends torturing me. I'm working 5 days a week at cleaning a house, then another 2 days cleaning a house, and on top of this, I'm the raggedy boy not allowed to get clothing every month. Yes. Why? Well, every kid in that program got a clothing check, all of them. Every kid got a clothing check, including me. But the difference between every other kid is every month, when it was time to get your clothing check and go clothing shopping, my father pocketed it. So that way I would be the raggedy kid. And then he would say, oh, I'll just bring him shopping. I'll just bring him shopping. I'll just bring him shopping. as I get made fun of for wearing short shorts, and my father goes, "Those are fine shorts. No, your clothing is fine. See, you got drawers full of it. You're fine." Meanwhile, I wear these clothes that my father says is fine, and they say, "Look at Zach, those shorts are above the knee." Look at Zach, he's wearing a church shirt. Look at that, that's some dress shoes. What the fuck does Zach think he is? A 1920s gangster? What is he doing? So for my whole childhood, from age 14 all the way to 18, 19, I never got to buy my own clothing with my own clothing check. My father decided to spend it on vacations and act like an accountant trying to minimize how much clothing I could get. Okay, he doesn't need clothing this month or this month. Hey, we'll bring him this month and that month. Yeah, twice a year. We'll do it twice a year, and that will save us. Oh, good. That will save us about $1,000. Fantastic. And then I come over. Can I please go clothing shopping with the other kids? They punish me to my room every month, and I'm not allowed to eat with them either. I have to go get a canned good from downstairs. It's like I'm being punished every month. Can I please go clothing shopping? No, I'll do the clothing shopping. No. Then the program is calling home. Like, can you please let your son go clothing shopping? We don't have staff members to watch your son by himself. Our